Welcome once again to Hunter's Entertainment on Twitch.tv. My name is Noxweiler Burf, and tonight I'll be your game master and guide through a dark and challenging world of survival horror. Tonight, as we do every Tuesday night, we are playing Outbreak Undead. If you're unfamiliar with this game, allow me to illuminate, to walk you through the shadows of the human spirit and to face nightmares that await us. This game is a zombie survival simulation, and as you can imagine, it's not for the faint of heart. But I, as the game master, have confirmed consent with each and every one of my players. Our lines and veils have been very carefully drawn, and we have safety protocols in place to assist and protect everyone at the table. We ask you for your consent as well, and we encourage you to listen to the content warnings very closely. Read what our moderators will place into chat and follow their lead. They are here to assist you and to keep you safe. While it is my goal to scare you, I would never want to hurt you. And while I am warning you, I also encourage you to stay with us and walk down some of these dark corridors that we have planned. This game offers us all opportunities to explore dark themes and to shine a light on the human condition in the safe confines of our imagination. But of course, that takes bravery. It takes the support of each and every one of us, all working together to tell a collective story. Tonight, dear friend, not every character within this table will be played with the same objectives and motivations. Some are working directly against one another. Some have made choices, and through previous roleplay are in communication with dangerous outside forces. This will play out in a number of different ways, but all are aware that whatever the outcome may be, we are all working together. This is the apocalypse, and survival is a day-to-day struggle. Food and water, security and shelter are not guaranteed. The dead walk the world. The dead own what we have left behind. There are no magical swords to be discovered here, no valiant knights or castle walls to hide behind. The dangers in this game were a face of a world that died so long ago. They are the echo and dying gasp of a civilization that was halted in its tracks by a horrible virus. But in that darkness, hope burns the brightest. We want to show you that flicker of hope tonight. I would like to thank the entire Hunters team and JB Jara, Alex Hillman, and everyone else for helping to make this campaign happen. Without them, our story would not be going 50 sessions strong, with a growing and ravenous community. If you haven't already, we ask that you sign up for the Scry program provided by Foreteller. Within the panels below, you will find everything that you need, and there you can engage directly with the communities of the apocalypse. You take on the role of a survivor and help to divert resources and goods to where you think they're needed most. Your choices tonight will mean the difference between life and death. Be very careful about how you make them. Soon, you will be able to choose your faction. I'd like for all of you to think about that as you make these choices. Which of these survivors here are going to represent what is left of civilization within this new world? Our tireless undead moderators are in the chat now, and they're prepared to help you by answering your questions and supporting your effort. Please, show them the respect they so richly deserve. If you enjoy this content, we would like for you to make some noise for us on social media. Help us to grow our numbers. You can have others find us here on Twitch or on our social media, but to join us every single Tuesday night and to follow us on Hunters Entertainment. right here. Enough of all of that, however. We have much to do. We should move forward. Let's introduce all of the players in tonight's little nightmare. Michelle, welcome back. We've been very busy and we've traveled far. Would you like to talk about everything that you're doing across the internet and who you'll be playing tonight?
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Michelle and Bradley. I'm a little sleepy. It's been a long week. You can find me everywhere on the internet at I am Chubby Bunny. You can find me here every Tuesday, which is lovely. And currently, I am on hiatus for a lot of my other shows, a lot of other projects, and I'm just like taking a month to enjoy Halloween. I'm really excited. So that's like what I'm gonna pitch is taking some mental health, y'all. So that's me for now. And today I am playing Faith, and whoosh, when last we saw Faith in the stadium, somehow the shepherds had gotten a hold of the video that uh, Betamax had taken of my brother being killed and played it on the jumbotron, the big screen. So I had to sort of relive that again. The choice that I made last week, though, was to sort of hunker down and try to live. And I think there was a moment where I could have went for a Chira, but instead just decided to focus on saving 10-4 and getting out of there to sort of, I don't know. I think Faith has chosen to sort of value her own life like her brother would have, and to try to just make decisions not based on everyone else around her. So it's been interesting to try to actually figure out what that would be for Faith and not for like Michelle, because because of course I want her to live, but oh, it's been rough. Anyway, so that's where I am now, and I am currently very close to the exit, but I'm staying behind trying to help Achira. I think that's what happened at the end of the last time.
It was chaotic, and we will resolve all of those intentions and actions as we begin our story tonight. We'll recap where you all are, and we'll give you an opportunity to make some very important choices. Markia, you also had been with us on the stage at Gen Con. Welcome back. I hope your travels were good. Would you like to talk about everything that you do on the internet and who you'll be playing tonight?
Hey everyone, I'm Markia McCarty. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Markia McCarty. TikTok and Twitch is Darth Markia. Facebook, Markia TV. Yeah, I so October is a big month for me because for my horror show and podcast, Something Scary. It's literally our horror month. So we have been revving up for that. We have a number of Halloween delights and specials, interviews that will be coming up and the such. Go ahead and check us out at youtube.com/snarled, or you can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever your podcasts are found. And if you do Snapchat, yeah, we're on there as well. So yes, for that, I'll have a number of other things that will be coming out that will be completely the opposite of horror, and I'm looking forward to being able to talk more about that. But for and then also something super fun, the two-part finale for our Kids on Brooms show that is done in collaboration with Roll20, and it is on Pixel Circus. This is Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. PT. It's called Trouble in Techburg. So that is GM'd by Sharif Jackson, and it's so fun. I'm an 11 and 3/4 year old spiritual guru who thinks that she's Batman. She has last episode she called herself Batmana because her name is Mana. So yeah, go ahead and join in that fun. But otherwise, for us with Rag and Bone, Achira, there's something about Achira and children, or there's something about Achira and Wild Child, in particular. She is like an apocalypse aunt, I'm going with it, and was saved by Polly Pocket, a character that we had last week from A Horde of Romeros, after being able to quite masterfully actually take down another abomination that was calling her name and was coming for her and would go through anybody else, along the way. We left her ducking and weaving through Romero's with Polly Pocket, who, since she had saved Achira was trying to also mutually save her, heading towards the exit where Faith and 10-4, who is not the great good leader that Achira has thought he was up to this point, has ducked through and left everybody else behind.
It was extremely intense, and it's turned into a slaughter. But we will relive those moments and recap it all. If you were unable to join us at Gen Con online, fear not. I will not leave you in the dark for long. Luis, we're so glad to have you back with us. You were not with us at Gen Con, but you're with us now. And of course, we have so much to talk about when it comes to Lampwick. So tell us a little bit about what you as yourself do across the internet, and then let's talk about your character.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Luis Carrazzo. Sorry to have missed you all at Gen Con, but I look forward to maybe seeing some of you in person at another juncture. Yeah, so I'm an actor. I've got do some stuff on TV. I've got a number of commercials that are running. You can see me as a knight, as a Jedi, and what's the other one? Oh, it's like a family man with a kid and a wife and dogs. Those are the ones that are running right now. And there's a TV show that's gonna come out. I think in a couple months. I don't know when it's gonna air, but when it does, I will let everybody know because that's always fun. And I play Lampwick, and I'm like super nervous. I think Lampwick has got me to a point where I get like fun nervous before every session because of what the ride that he's like forced me to go on. I blame him for everything. So last I was here 2 weeks ago, Lampwick and Faith had kind of come to a reconciliation, and in conversation with Sister Deidre, um, who keeps testing that all the shepherds keep testing Lampwick because he's joining them. But one of the things that happened last time I was here was Lampwick had walked a Romero, kind of like walking a dog out of a church, and in the rain, kind of got him to kneel, and then cut his hand and fed him his own blood. And now I know that we have been going through some other crazy shenanigans, and I can't wait to see how Lampwick talks his way out of whatever his responsibility in all this was. So that's what we have.
We do have a lot to do tonight, so I won't keep us too much longer, but there are some things that I should say before we move forward. First of all, there are ways that you can find out more about this world if you're interested. On DriveThruRPG, we do have our free Content Friday material. It's absolutely free to you to download and read as you see fit. You can get a very intimate look at this apocalypse and learn quite a bit. Additionally, as we approach October, we are moving very quickly to our 1-year anniversary. Outbreak, Rag and Bone is almost 1 year old. And we have worked tirelessly to bring this campaign to you. And so, we have decided that like all good things, they cannot last. We are going to kill this campaign. And we will be doing so in just a few short sessions. But if you trust us and you know us, you will know that the dead do not lie easy. Enough of all of that. The road is long. We have much to do. We should get moving. The world ended on Monday, May 29th, 1995. The sky fell, and the dead would not die. Civilization quickly collapsed, and the sickness spread like lightning to even the most remote reaches of the world. They called it many things, but it started out simply as another round of the flu. It became something far, far worse. H195, called the Legacy or the Reaper's Kiss. It was deadly, infectious, unstoppable. At first, it seemed as though no one was immune to the airborne strain. But eventually, it appeared that 0.01% of the population was immune to the airborne strain. They had a natural immunity. But even those lucky souls, they couldn't withstand what was coming next. Those that died, they came back. They rose from their grave, their hospital bed, the morgue, and they flooded the streets. And it spread through a bite or a scratch or blood on blood contact. The end of days were like wildfire. Throughout the world, people sought security and sanctuary where there was none. Entire cities burned to the ground. But miraculously, some survived. And for the next 25 years, life has struggled forward. The world now is a fractured place. Some, however, seek to make civilization anew. Rag and bone merchants crisscross the land, traveling between the small scattered outposts and settlements throughout what was once known as the Midwestern United States. Now it is the Penn region, and the Enders Line is one such group. They use old railway tracks to connect them all together. They bring food and water, medical supplies to those who need them most. They are a much-needed lifeline in a world that now belongs entirely to the dead. Achira. Above you, the sparks of the speaker fly across the darkened sky. You see the stars above you, a clear sky, pinpoints of light, and a large, pregnant moon casting light down, but it is overshadowed by the blaring brightness of the unnatural lights that have been prepared here. It is a miracle. Three Rivers Stadium, in what was once known as Pittsburgh, has been brought back from the dead. Once, this place was used for pastimes and merriment. Sports, baseball mostly, was played here. And this field held the dreams of hundreds of thousands of adoring fans. But the world is dead, and this, like every other place in your world, is a shadow of the world you remember. You weren't raised here. This part of the United States wasn't yours. Where you came from You had different anchors, but you knew of the stadium. Your brother loved sports. He would often, on a Sunday afternoon, take over the television, ruining any chance you had of watching anything other than men in uniforms running around in circles, slapping things with a stick. Still, the two of you loved each other. Your brother. His voice echoed above you just moments ago. You don't know how the shepherds managed this. How they found old answering machine tapes with his voice on it. It's a feat beyond comprehension. The dead still speak your name. The large, lumbering abomination that you've just shot in the head had it on its rotten, twisted, emaciated lips. A cheer. The Horde. You and Polly Pocket. The wild child that has just saved your life. Pulls you forward. You're moving carefully through them. The dead. They were silent for so long. They still are silent. They're moving broken marionettes. But here, in the presence of this place, they're quiet, but no less deadly. They have pulled down a number of the individuals that were here. There were 13 at the beginning. Each of them was left with the shepherds, burlap bag on their head, wrapped ropes between their hands and their feet, tying them closely together. Spread across this field, there are pits. There is metal, fencing, razor wire. This place has been converted and turned into something else. It is, as the shepherd said, your trial. The trial of the Pen region. Sinners all. Perpetuators of a rotten garden that must be pruned. They have not shown themselves, but you see the shapes on the other side of the lights, silhouettes that move slowly, pacing about, not many, but enough. Watching you and the others. Each of you were given a combat knife, a 38 special revolver, and a single bullet. You, Achiro, through your impassioned speech, were able to gather more bullets. How many bullets do you currently have? Of course, removing the one that you used.
I believe I should have 4 left.
You have 4 bullets, a combat knife, and you're pushing through the dead. Polly Pocket, this wild child, matted hair, streaks of neon color fed through it, twisted together with fabric and yarn that has been braided into it. Bright colors that have been soiled by dirt and age, stitched together by hand. This dirty, wild, young girl pulls you forward and has shown you once again, when you had once again almost completely given up, that there is kindness and selflessness still in this dark world. What, Achira, are you thinking? What is your intention?
Achira is thinking that in her experience, wild childs don't last long, and she's going to do her best not to get attached to this one. They either die or they leave. Her intention is to stay small, stay quiet, stay stealthy, and as carefully as possible, get to the exit and through it, the same one that she last glimpsed 10-4 going through.
10-4. One of the survivors that had been brought here, the leader of the Ender's line, a man that you had thought was a bastion of morality within these dark days. But you weren't the only one that they were toying with. They had a recording from the radio, one that revealed that 10-4 had let entire communities with children be overwhelmed by the dead because they didn't have the resources to help. And his words echo through your mind. Let it all burn. He was here. One of the other survivors shot him. He nearly died. But that brings us to Faith. Faith, you woke up in the rocking train car as it was pulling you here. You were brought into this arena, and everything was revealed to you, and they have the tape of your brother's death. And they were trying to show you something. You know they had an intention. But in the mix of everything happening, you looked away. 10-4, you saved. Reese Chapel, he was the kind, helpful individual from the cavalry that was with you. The two of you had a plan. But apparently, his morality got in the way. Old Sally pulled down in a horde of the dead, silent dead, being ripped apart. Reese dove in to help. Despite everything that he knew, he still thought that he could do something. But it was too late, and he also died. Now you're alone. And you were working your way along the wall, following after 10-4, who had been the first to move through the open gate as the dead moved towards Achira. You used the same opportunity that 10-4 did to hide against the wall, and the dead did seem to move past without recognition or concern for you. What is your intention, and what are you thinking in this moment?
I figure there's always going to be deserters, and I think I just kind of thought it was funny whenever 10-4 was revealed to be a bad person, because as far as I can tell, we're all bad people, and it doesn't really matter all that much. It just matters what you do now. I could have escaped behind 10-4, but while Reese was still with me, I thought I could at least protect him, because I didn't know him. And he didn't seem bad or good. He just seemed like someone I didn't know, which was better than everything else going around. So then he died, and I turned back. And I saw Achira and the girl that called herself Polly. And I knew I had one shot, and I could leave or I could help. But I decided to turn and see if I could make any difference and help Achira. So I wanted to aim towards the horde, where Achira and Polly are standing to try to shoot a Romero from the back to help in some way.
Go ahead and roll your shot. I'll put no dice of difficulty upon you.
Okay, here we go. Ooh, first one.
Shira, make sure that you roll your stealth. No dice of difficulty.
So that was 4 degrees of failure for my pistol shot, which is not great. Is so bad.
It is in fact very bad.
I think I'm okay with missing, but I don't want it to be catastrophic. So should I do 2 degrees of competency to make it just 2 degrees of failure?
If you wish to just remove the catastrophic failure, you need only spend 1 competency.
I'll do that for now then, and make it 3.
On the very first roll. So be it. Achira, you have 4 degrees of failure on your stealth, which for Achira is shocking.
Believe me, I was very surprised myself.
Would you like to spend competency to remove the catastrophic effect of your failure?
Oh, yeah. I'm stealthing through a Romero horde right now. And I believe last time I already used that this was a location hazard. So I'd very much like to use my competency points for this. Unless you'll take survival points instead.
It's far too early for that, my friend. And I don't know that my goodwill will last very long. How many competency are you spending?
I'll go ahead and spend 2 to just... No. I don't trust that. I'll spend 3 to make it 1 degree of failure.
Very well. With 1 degree of failure, I'll come back to you. 3 degrees of failure with your pistol shot. How many bullets did you have? 1. Is that right, Faith?
For me, yes, I had 1.
Just the 1 bullet.
Yeah.
And you watch as it blows one side of a head off of a Romero standing far off to the other side of the field. You're a better shot than that, but this gun is very old. It hasn't been maintained as well as it could have been. Certainly, that's the reason it couldn't be your nerves and the situation that you find yourself in. 100 dead bodies. 2 massive abominations still moving amongst them. The fact that they make no noise. The abominations are groaning, but just one word, over and over. That's when the singing started. Through the speakers, they pop and whistle, sound broken and jagged. Children of the Valley in a deep, booming voice. As Brother Hayworth and others sing, and from all of the stadium around you, you hear voices, almost pleasantly, if it weren't for the strange, discordant undertones that this song always carries with it. In this night, with the blazing hot white burning lamps above you, and a stink of diesel all around, and the dead, you hear this almost religious anthem. And as Sally died, her body pulled below, she shouted out, cursing them all and intoning the name of Jesus Christ. And the response was not what anyone expected. Lampwick. You were separated from Faith and all of the others. You don't know where Marcus is. Some small part of you, perhaps, is thankful that you don't see him now on the field. They marched you through a number of different railway cars. You didn't know there were this many, dressed in black, pristine, cleaned and groomed, without any dirt beneath their fingernails. The shepherds. Faces. So many different types of faces, all brought together by whatever ethos has tethered this group into one cohesive, unstoppable force. You've seen much. You've questioned, and you yourself have changed. Something inside of you has grown. And in our previous conversations, Lampwick has been said to be genuine in his search for the truth. And he has seen perhaps some glimmer of truth within what it is these people do. But they are not kind. Their movements, their actions bear an intensity. You've witnessed this firsthand. And to save yourself, you've done unthinkable things. Candy Max. Her head, her blood, it's still on your hands. It may always be there. You killed her. You murdered her. On their order. Of course they were going to kill you if you didn't, but you wished to prove yourself. You knew the words, you had listened, you knew the song. And you have been working to prove your faith to them. But now, Lampwick, given everything that you've seen, given what Mother Hodge did to you, her dark kiss, it is changing you. You feel it. And you've seen what happens. This world doesn't make much sense anymore. The dead speak. They roam, and they are changing, evolving, growing. And unless you are going completely mad, they whisper to you. And you, as you've just learned, can affect their will, command them, control them. You walked them through the streets of Sullivan Town. Linked to you in Three Rivers Stadium as you stand amongst your brethren, the sisters, brothers, and siblings of this cause, dressed in black, pristine. Behind on a chain, a priest stands silently swaying, very much dead. Deidre bid you to keep your first. And so here you are, and you see him. Brother Noah Hayworth. Beard, regality, finely trimmed hair that falls just to his shoulders. Older, but a certain agelessness about him. He stands tall, meticulous. His robes are more ornate than the others. He is highly regarded and esteemed amongst the others. They whisper. Others watch you, but pay you little mind. You have, you believe, been accepted. But I'd like for you to do a couple of things for us now, please, Lampwick. Describe yourself, what you're thinking, and what your intention is.
Wow, lots is running through my mind. I'm still, and I'm observing, and I'm trying to assess the composure of the people around me. In my immediate surrounding, I'm looking for any weak links, anyone that seems shaken, fragile of mind, doubtful. And in some regards, maybe I'm looking for someone that feels a little bit like I do. Someone who feels like they're questioning whether they truly belong here.
That makes a lot of sense. It certainly follows your mode of operation in most situations. Over Lampwick, this is far from most operations, most intentions, most situations that you find yourself in don't carry this weight. I need you to make a detect motives, and I'm going to give you 2 black dice of difficulty. They are hard to read. You are certain that they've all been initiated. And while there are, you believe, others that are of lower rank, you find yourself in a position amongst many of the higher ranking individuals within shepherds. Lampwick, you have 4 degrees of success, which makes that 5 degrees of success, does it not?
It does.
You have critically succeeded once more. Brother Noah Hayworth is speaking. Another of the shepherds is holding an old microphone in front of him. Deidre is near you. In the back. Quieter. There is a woman. She has blonde hair and burns that just light across her hand, and you notice it as she pushes her hair out of her face. She is just as ridiculous as the others, just as clean. But there's something about the way she holds her head down. Something that speaks of a sadness that has yet to be resolved by this faith, whatever it might be. That's the only individual here that you can see that is not fully engaged in every word that Brother Hayworth is saying. She seems distracted. But she's far away from you, and the others are watching you closely. Deidre is right next to your side. It would be immediately and very painfully obvious were you to try to break away from your current position.
I will not. I'm gonna
now after. Oh, please, by all means.
As soon as I note that, I'm gonna then bring my attention, like my circle of attention, is gonna then go to Deidre, and I want to sense, if I can, if I feel her attention pull in that direction, or if she's completely focused on Brother Hayward.
She is fully focused on you. You hear Brother Hayworth speaking, as all do, but you hear a shout from the arena, gunfire. You've witnessed this. You've seen your former allies and companions down there. You see 10-4 take a bullet through the shoulder as one of the other survivors shoots him. You recognize old Sally, some of the members of the cavalry, other individuals from every faction that you know of. You have worked as a part of the Ender's line now for many years. It has afforded you great security and wealth. So you know these people, and they're tearing each other apart as the dead flow into the arena. You hear gates moving. You smell the stench of the diesel, the burning of the lamps, the jumbotron, and you see shepherds slowly and silently working the VHS recorders, the Betamax recorders, all of the electronics that have been tethered together and brought back from the dead. No small feat. This is a miracle, and they're using it to awaken the most darkest thoughts from those below. Achira's history, Faith's history, 10-4's history, all of it is being played out in this arena, the jumbotron flashing with the crimes of the past, the speakers alive with the pain. All of it at once. And then he speaks again, and you hear him as they sing Children of the Valley around you. Our God is much older than your Jesus Christ. Much, much older. It has persisted in the darkness, and human sin has roiled and festered through the long ages, calling it to cleanse these lands and bring forth the promise of dark tides, leaving the land to the children of the valley, the dead that roam.
Am I able to see from where I am where the Rag and Bone people, am I able to see the arena and what's going on down there?
Yes. You can see down. You're in a box The glass has been broken out. There is metal mesh that has been welded in place, but you can see through it. You see all of them. And they start moving towards one of the gates. You see the letter above it, D, and you hear whispering.
I listen. If there's whispering going on around me, I'm going to try to figure out what they're saying.
Spot, listen, and 3 degrees or 3 black dice of difficulty. I will come back to you, Lambrick. Achira, make a dodge roll for me, please.
Can anything go into that?
You have no gear. Not in this moment. 1 degree of failure. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's someone else.
Even worse, it's 4 degrees of failure.
I will I will use 3 more competency points to just make it 1 degree of failure.
It's good.
I knew I had a weird feeling about tonight.
Your degrees of difference between this attack and your dodge have been mitigated considerably. It's not a catastrophic failure, but it's still 3.
No, if I use 3, then I'll just have 1 degree of failure.
That's correct. So with a 4 in a successful grab and you having 1 degree of failure, the degree of difference, which is a separate grapple mechanic, is in fact a 3. So I subtract the 1 that you have from the 4 that they have for success, meaning it is now a 3.
Okay.
So you are currently feeling hands pulling at you as you start pushing back. You have one of 2 options unless you can think of something different. You can leave something behind, or you can stop stealthing and start running. They're grabbing you, the dead. You feel their hands all around you.
I guess I have to run.
All right. You push out. I need to roll for Polly Pocket, who is still right next to you. Does this change your decision to run?
I'm sure that she'll follow with what I'm doing. She's been watching me pretty closely.
All right. Polly breaks away, pushing forward, outrunning you, moving past you. The young girl is quick. You see the bright color out of the corner of your eye. The dead have turned and have started moving towards you. The rest of the swarms are converging into the center, and as you start to run, Achira, they turn and they start pushing closer towards the 2 of you. The 2 large abominations follow, lumbering in those masses. You've broken away from the clawing and the grabbing, but only just. And I apologize, I misspoke about the degrees of difference, but the result is the same. You have temporarily escaped these grapples, and you are pushing towards the gate. Had you stated that you were going towards the same gate that 10-4 had passed through, or one of the others? There is D, C, and E.
Well, which one is the closest to where I am now?
You were closest to D.
Well, since they're paying attention now, I guess D is the one that I would run to. Might not make the other ones.
Polly Pocket follows closely, running next to you. She looks to you. Come on, I'm not leaving you behind. I know we can do this, for sure. Come on.
If it looks like it's getting bad, you need to just go. But it's not bad yet.
It ain't bad yet. We're going. Follow me. And she charges forward, grabbing onto your hand. Her fingerless gloves wrap around yours, and she pulls you forward. And the dead continue to follow, grabbing silently. The gate is in front of you, the large iron wrought thing that has been pulled up. You see 10-4's blood. A lot of blood. It doesn't look good. Not that much. You see a trail of it lead into the darkness. Nearby, you see another figure. Faith, you had fired. As Achira is struggling out of this herd, what are you doing?
Probably would have seen that I didn't help very much, but I give myself a little mental pat in the back for trying. And I do see that Ashira and Polly have made their way. They're right there at the gate I'm at, correct? Where I just saw 10-4 go by. So I know Gate D. I know that the way out is definitely not back towards the horde. It's behind where I'm standing. So I wait for them to catch up a little bit, and then I begin to run ahead of them a bit to sort of scout the way. And I try to look over to Chira and just go, "We're doing this now. Let's go. We have to live." And I want to go ahead and scout for openings. I don't really care about 10-4 at this point because he's sort of just, he just left us. So I'm not going to try to follow his trail at all. I'm just going to try to find the safest or best route out.
All around you, the other survivors fight. Some of them are running towards other gates, others fire bullets, some of them are already dead. Currently, the three of you are banded together. No one else seems to be coming this direction. Do you
we're
move
in formation
down? I'm sorry?
Are we in formation?
Do you wish to be in a formation? Can you call a formation?
I can't.
Yeah, I don't have any special abilities with being in formation, but I believe there's a game mechanic that maybe you don't need to have those.
Faith, are you...
Like basic formation
currently?
That will do.
Well, are one of you forming a basic formation?
Am I able to...
Faith would know how to form a basic formation, certainly. I think all of you would be able to, but I'm saying you have to announce that you're forming a formation.
Sure. I'll take point. And I get a +2 formation morale when we do that, even though we've never used morale, but just FYI in case anyone's feeling sad.
We have used morale, but it's mostly behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ichiro's gonna follow with Faith doing point in our basic formation.
All right. So with Faith taking point and forming the formation. Faith, tell us how you command everyone into this group and start moving into the darkness in front of you, into gate D.
I'll basically be holding everyone until I go forward about 10 feet, 15 feet or so, checking left to right, and then having them come meet me in that spot and going back again 10, 15 feet ahead and calling them forward. So they're watching the back and I'm watching the front.
All right, we'll follow you. I can hit things. Real sharp. Yeah. I'm good in a fight.
Okay. And if you're not, you're gonna die, so you don't have to convince me. Convince yourself.
Should we try to close it behind us, this gate? Or just go?
Does it look like it would take a long time to close that gate? Is it like very heavy looking? Does it look like it swung open very quickly when it opened at the first time?
Would you like to bid a skill?
Sure, you can do it if you want, since you asked the gate question.
I'm not a lift pull kind of a person if it's that kind of a thing. If it's like a button to close this gate, then I can find it, like with a search.
Well,
but
did you want to stop and search the area then? Or do you want to run? The choice is yours.
I'm gonna look over at Faith and be like, it might not take me long.
Somewhere in the darkness ahead of you, you hear a rumble of chain, gears, old rusted metal grinding against itself. Deeper in the darkness, it sounds like a gate has slammed shut.
Chira, I think someone shut our way out, but I don't know. I trust our chances with a lock gate more than I do with a bunch of Romeros behind us. Yeah, go ahead and close that door. I'm gonna go forward and see if I can find a way out.
I'm gonna try to close whatever gate is that we just went through.
Okay, so if you look back, you see a series of chains and wheels and these rigged pieces of machinery that have obviously been built into the space. You know this isn't how they didn't have portcullises in sporting arenas when the world was still whole. This has been crafted. A lot of effort has been put into this. However, it seems somewhat simple, so you wouldn't need an advanced degree in engineering to be able to perhaps affect it from this side of the gate. So if you wish to close it, I'd like for you to either make a lift pull to try to unhinge some of those chains, or you can make a search to try to find another way of doing that, of disabling this gate.
Well, my lift pull isn't really great and my search is, so I would do that for Chira.
Go ahead and roll your search then, Chira. Is there anything that you would like to do, Faith, a skill that you would like to bid for your intention?
So I'll be going forward and leaving a chair to that back gate, so I'm going basically to see if I can find a way out. I feel like, can I assess once I get there and see what's what, or do I know that gate's shut?
You're going deeper back into this darkness to try to find out what that noise was. Make a search check, or actually you make a spot listen, and I need both of you to roll just one. I can roll for you if you've already rolled, but one blue die just so that I know your placement on the initiative for your speed die.
Okay,
and
I'll
then
do that.
For all of this with the training value bonus, like I can't use recon gear at all with this.
Yeah, we don't have anything on us.
everything from you. So unfortunately, at this time, you are without your regular bonuses. However, there may be an opportunity for you to change that.
Okay. Oh man.
All right.
I need my gear.
You
I
are
can't do
in the
anything
dark
without
and in a
it.
horrible situation, and I do know how bad this is, and I apologize for it, but the shepherds knew what they were doing. These rolls are raw, and they're not good. Achira, you've only failed by one with your search. Do you wish to use any of your competency to adjust that? It's dark in here. It's musky.
I only have 2 left, so I can't chance it. That
We
would
have
only
3
go
community competence that we can pull from.
We do?
3, yeah.
Do
3
you want to
competency
use
within the company pool, yes.
2 of those for yours? I'll use 1 for mine and then 1 of my competency.
I'll use
With-
all of mine for mine, just so there's some in the pool left, because I'm a little worried that it's like only been an hour for us playing and we're using all of them up. So I'll use all of mine.
I'll use 2 from the communal. Thank you so much, chat, for that, by the way. To make it 1 degree of success for this search to close this so that Romero's can't follow us.
And I'll use 5 to get 1 degree of success.
All right. So you use 5 competency points to get 1 degree of success on your spot. Listen, Achira, you have used 2 of the communal competency to push this into 1 degree of success, and it takes a moment. You're desperately searching in the darkness. You're surrounded by what can only be the impending doom of the dead marching towards you if you don't find some way to close this gate. All of them are moving towards you silently and slowly. But as you search, you see that one of the gears is integral in this tether of chain. You think that it can be moved out of the way. If you pull that one gear forward and the chain drops, so should the gate. Make a lift pull.
Damn.
There are no controls here. You know that now for a fact. They didn't put anything within the interior, but you might be able to make this work.
Could Polly help? Maybe she's very strong and we don't know yet.
Yeah, maybe Polly has better than a 28 on the full.
Do you ask Polly to assist you? She's standing in between the 2 of you watching the dead. She's holding her gun like a club with the butt of it like a hammer, looking back at the dead as they approach.
Yeah, I'm thinking if she wants to do a lift pull or she wants to... Is it pushing it in or pulling it out? Because if it's like pushing it in, she can use that, that club, as a club to like push it in.
It's lifting it up so that it actually pops off the chain and the chain is able to be released. So
or
it's
you
a
do
lift.
Together and then you share competency. I don't know. Good.
Yeah.
If you wish to work together, the 2 of you can share your results.
Okay.
Multiple degrees of success would build a bigger success. But if you fail at all, Achira, in assisting, that would detract from the success of Polly.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm pretty sure how this is going to come out if I just do it. So might as well try this together.
Right. Polly, upon your order, steps forward and looks at you. Bitchin', yeah, for sure, I can do this. And steps up to it. And while she is very lithe, you watch as her muscles tense. She pulls on the rusted metal, and the gear slowly begins to bend. 2 degrees of success.
Oh my God. Much better than
It's
I would have.
slow, though. She has a 7. You had a 3 on your speed. Faith, you had an 11 because your dice exploded for your speed die. Meaning Faith goes absolutely last. Achira, you go first. Polly goes next. The dead are starting to make their way to the gate. You don't have much time. She pulls, straining, and you hear the metal grinding and bending. It slowly starts to clatter the chain as it shakes and vibrates. Are you holding any other action or anything that you wish to do before Polly's turn? Do you wish to change your intention?
Well, I already kind of did mine, which was to find what we needed to do in the first place.
Right.
Kind of scared to roll now at this point with none of my usual bonuses.
She continues to pull. Faith, you start moving into the back. You're moving deeper and deeper into this darkness. You feel the dirt and the old broken leaves and roots under your feet. The wilderness has taken on so much of the space, reclaimed it. Much of the concrete is broken and cracked, and even though it's dark in here, you feel vines and cobwebs brush against you as you move deeper into this tunnel. And before you know it, you have walked right up to a secondary gate on the interior, another portcullis that has been closed. There's something on it. There's a body. It's hanging there.
Do I recognize who it is?
It's very dark. You can't see.
I kind of check my pockets to see if I have that Zippo lighter still from Riggs that he gave me like 20 episodes ago.
You search your pockets. You feel the metal cold to your touch in your pocket. Riggs' lucky Zippo. Click it. Fire blares up. You see Betamax. He was the tape trader. He assisted you, saved your life. Drove you out of that cannibal hell after you saved him. They were going to eat him. They had already started. His leg was pretty badly mutilated. Now he's quite dead, and his head is lolling back and forth as his white, empty eyes look upon you, drooling black bile that vomits forth. In his chest, which is exposed, there's a VHS cassette. He's been tethered here. Handcuffs. Linked and holding him up on the portcullis. You see 10-4. A shadow, not far, look at you and turn around a corner. Out of the range of your Zippo lighter's light. I'm going to spend 50 risk. And then there's a rumble as the gate opens. You don't know who did it. Maybe it was 10-4. Maybe it was someone else, but the portcullis in front of you pulls open. You hear the gears and the grinding of chain as Betamax's body starts to rise away from you. What is your intention?
I'm going to reach up and grab the VHS that's sticking out of him.
You snatch the tape just in time as his body pulls away from you. It's been wrapped in what looks like an old Ziploc bag. You've seen these used in the commissary back in the Citadel. A plastic product from the days before. The VHS is not soaked in gore. It's been tightly packed. Someone wanted you to be able to save this. If you were to have seen Betamax's body.
I really hope that Betamax did it to himself.
Polly pulls forward, the gear breaks, the entire thing snaps. I need both of you to make a dodge.
You mean Achira and Polly, or
Achira and Polly both need to make a dodge roll, please. Sorry, I was not clear. Achira, you roll out of the way. More hands grapple towards you. Polly pulls back easily and carefully in the dark. There's a cut across her face, though, where the chain whipped forward as the gate threw itself down. A Romero is crushed in half right in front of you, Achira, and you hear the wet snapping of its spine. Still silent, as its body bends and breaks underneath the weight of this gate. You have succeeded. Gate D is now closed to the arena. The pathway is open to both of you.
Achira's gonna. Yeah.
Oh, by all means, I'm sorry, Achira, go.
No, Achira's gonna grab Polly to then head further in towards where to get back in formation with Faith.
The three of you are still in formation.
Okay.
You start moving together carefully down the darkness. Is there anything else the three of you would like to do before I move back to Lampwick?
No.
Lampwick. They're making a rush for what looks like Gate D.
Who is the shepherds that I'm with?
No. Your former companions.
Aha. I have the Romero priest with me in this space, do I not?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else here, any of the other shepherds, have a Romero pet companion like I do?
You don't see anyone here. When you were coming up, there were others that were surrounded by the dead. Not many, and not like this. You've not seen this. However, on your roll for your spotless, and you had failed, and the whispering around you is lost to you. Do you wish to keep that failure?
No, I'll use 2 competency points to make that a success.
You begin listening closely. Praise his name.
I'm going to start to mutter that as well, because I want to blend in. Are they moving at all, or are they all still standing still?
The ones closest to you are grouping into small groups and then milling about, and many of them are walking laps through the destroyed, torn apart seating of this arena. There are plants from everywhere.
Here's what I would like to do. So, I'm going to gently pull the Romero that I have just a little bit towards me. And as I continue to chant with the group, I'm going to lean into him and I'm going to touch his face. And I'm going to tell him, it's time to feed. And I'm going to start to lead him out of the room, down towards the arena.
Brother Lampwood.
Yes, brother.
Noah Hayworth steps away from the others, the strong congregation that is surrounding him, and they all follow after him like a dark tide of ravens. He approaches you.
I turn to him.
Sister Deidre has brought you back to us.
So it seems.
How fair is your trial?
I'm confident in my journey thus far. I have made progress, and I look to my undead companion.
I have been told you have made progress.
I have.
Prophet will be pleased.
Brother Hayworth, if I may. What is the ideal outcome of this trial below?
These sinners, they would perpetuate the rotten, broken garden. We must show them the way, redeem them. Only one will prove themselves worthy. Only one will bring themselves above all of these challenges and cleanse their soul.
How might we know when that one has arrived to this place that you describe? Forgive me, for I am still your pupil, and I am trying to learn as much as I can.
To question that is no sin. We will know that they are delivered, and they appear. Divine providence will deliver them to us.
Just as I believe divine providence has delivered him to me, I feel it is my responsibility to care for these misunderstood creatures. I've seen so much through your teachings. I've seen so much of what makes this garden as rotten as it is. And I am disappointed with how easily they destroy the children of the valley. I would like to see more closely how these sinners behave. I know many that are down there. I've spoken to them, and I feel like I am seeing them now more truly than I ever have. I would like a closer look, and I would like to take my charge to feed. He's hungry.
Of that I have no doubt. If this is what you wish, please, go. But know that what we have asked of you is still of the utmost importance. You did not deliver her to us. We had to find her. And it was from the clutches of the citadel that she was plucked. So should your faith be as strong as you proclaim it to be, know that the prophet's eyes fall upon you this day and will not be dissuaded.
I have felt the prophet with me every second and every step. And I believe our successes sometimes are not exactly what we had anticipated. I know I kept Achira from leaving. I know I kept her close, and I may not have delivered her in the way that we thought it might have looked like. But I know that because of me, she has stuck around a lot longer than she usually does. And my task remains incomplete.
Some, and his eyes dart over to Sister Deidre and then back to you, have questioned your allegiance, the validity of your faith. I have not, but your skills, the power of your spirit, these things are ephemeral. Tangible action is called upon this day. It's a day of glory. Show me that you are the vessel of its truth, and that the prophet works through you, and that the power of our God is not lost upon you.
Oh, I will show you. And I look over to where Deidre is. I've found that those who find suspicion in others are sometimes the ones that need to be looked at more closely. Trust me, brother. I see you, and I believe in what you're doing. And just because I'm not exactly like the rest of them here, doesn't mean that I don't believe in what is happening here. I also know that that makes me an asset. And that the prophet is working through me in different ways than all of the other brothers and sisters and siblings around us for a reason. Faith goes all the ways. I believe in you. And I thank you for having faith in me. and I will show you.
He steps back, and he looks out over the field, and the lights start shutting off, and you start to see the night sky more clearly, Lampwick. But you also see more clearly what this arena is. There are markings emblazoned onto the broken concrete. Now that the lights aren't blazing so brightly, marks and indicators, lines crisscross this entire circular dome. This arena is some sort of ancient tool, like a circle. There are steel erection towers that are gathered together. In this circle, bits of metal point out. And you notice that the shepherds are studying the stars. Moving about and looking down, many of the survivors that were there before are now entirely dead and being consumed by the dead that remain there. The others have crowded the various gates. B and D are swarmed. The dead are entering into both, but then at D you see that it stops. The horde stops and piles there. D, however, closed. All of the remaining dead begin shifting over to B and entering through the tunnels there. Do you begin moving down?
I do. But
You hear them singing.
And I will sing along, and I will find the blonde-haired woman that I noticed earlier. And I will guide my Romero through the crowd, and if I find her, I am going to make very deliberate eye contact with her. And gesture that she come.
Would you like to bid a skill, or would you like for me to make a suggestion?
If I find her, I would consider this a subtle command.
I'll allow a command, given that you are now part of the Shepherd's faction. That is 1 degree of failure, Lampwick.
I will use competency to make that a success.
And by making it 1 success, your skill allows you to immediately improve that.
By 3.
So it is 4 degrees for the command. She does meet your eyes. And she starts moving towards you. And as
I
she
lead her down.
You notice something strange about the way she's walking.
What do I notice?
She takes 2 more steps towards you, Lampwick.
I put the Romero in between. I step back and I pull the Romero behind me.
You see now what you thought were burns aren't burns at all. They're wrinkles. Her skin doesn't fit her. In fact, Her skin doesn't look like her skin at all.
Can I shoot her?
Is that what you would like to do?
Yes.
We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Outbreak Undead, Rag and Bone, here at Hunters Entertainment on twitch.tv. Our survivors are in the middle of what used to be Three Rivers Stadium, in the deserted wasteland known once as Pittsburgh. It's in the Pin region now, but it's known as a deadland, one that no one enters. All of the cities belong to the dead. Swarms of what are known as Romeros, in numbers far too large to possibly navigate. And yet in the center of all of this, it seems that a stronghold has been erected by a group known as the Shepherds, followers of a prophet known as Malachi. In the deep tunnels, further away from the bright lights, darkness surrounds Achira and Faith, along with a wild child known as Polly Pocket. The three have managed to close the large portcullis and prevent the dead from swarming in. They stand silently now outside that barrier, waiting. Another of these gates further down has been opened, and darkness is all that you see in front of you. You have a flickering small flame, Faith. Achira, you have gathered Polly and yourself back into Faith's formation, and the three of you are moving forward. Please tell me your intentions.
I suppose right now I'd also check my pockets to see if I have a Lampwick's lighter, which is the one that I took from him a very long time ago and have been utilizing. It has a lion's head embossed on it.
Anything that was not overtly a tool or a weapon has been left with you. A lighter is fair, so you do find Lampwick's lighter that you took from him.
Okay, then I would like that to give us slightly more light.
I would like both of you to roll a single depletion die.
I just lit mine. No.
But you've used it in the past.
That is true.
The tiny flames sputter. You continue on in the dark, Faith.
I'm still taking point in the front and searching for a way out. But I think the way I'm doing it is that I'm sort of trying to stop and listen for wind. If I hear it going through from a certain direction, or listening if there's any other footsteps or voices also.
I'd like for you to make a spot listen check, please. I'm not going to add any degrees of difficulty here. You're very well trained, having trained within the Citadel. However, you have 3 degrees of failure.
With having spent many Sunday afternoons listening to her brother talk of sports, live sports, making them watch sports. She had Saturday mornings, he had Sunday afternoons as far as the TV remote was concerned. I'd like to do a search for other service tunnels, other things that, you know, Blaine would have known about and would have told her than these main corridors.
Go ahead and make a search check for me. I'm not going to add any dice of difficulty to that.
Trying to think of what Polly might be good at to be like, hey, can you
Polly seems out of her element.
yeah.
This is a building, concrete structure. You have 4 degrees of success on your search, Chera. That's a amazing roll, and one that will serve you well in this moment as you begin looking across the ruined concrete. There are bright colors that are faded against the concrete. You get a little closer to the slickness of the wall, and you're able to wipe off a layer of grime. And you see a leering pirate face. And then the letters D12 with an arrow below it. Locker room.
I draw the attention of everybody else. This is familiar. This I know. There's another way. This way.
You feel a hand on your shoulder. It's Polly. Why do I feel like someone's watching us?
With 4 degrees of success just in that search in general, would I also feel that?
There's no real reason for Polly to feel that way that you can tell with your search. You think you know that the locker rooms may have other venues that would lead you behind the main scenes of this arena. The stadium has a network of passages that were not intended for the masses. Smaller corridors. This arrow may lead you there. But at the same time, you know that closed circuit television cameras once were often used in hallways like these, and it seems quite unlikely that even with their miraculous revitalization of this place that they would be able to use many of them. But if they were, even in the darkness, they might be able to see some of what you're doing.
There's a risk with taking this way, but I think the payoff is going to be worth it. They may be able to see us better than they do now, but even now, it doesn't mean that they can't see somehow.
I trust you. I just don't like this place. I don't like I like the air. It's stale down here. I don't like it.
There's not much to like about it, Polly. We just have to get out of here. All of us. The 3 of us. Chira says that a little pointedly, since 10-4 had left them behind.
Well, sometimes you find help in weird places. All right, let's go down your way then, Achira. Better than nothing.
Faith, you follow the arrow, and there are vines overgrown in this section. Dead branches and roots that have broken through the concrete here, and they cover an area. It looks like a concrete passageway. There's rubble all through it. It looks more like a cave than what was once a building. But you do see something else.
Also, before we go through, Achira hands 2 of the bullets that she has to Faith.
Oh, sharing now. Thanks.
Well,
We're gonna need it.
you're not a bad shot.
Yeah, pretty good, usually. It's been a bad day.
All the way
But,
around.
we're gonna get out of here, I think. But you know, if we don't, I have to ask. Do you know what happened to my brother? Shira. I'm pretty sure he didn't turn into Romero, like Rowan said.
Can I do a composure check real quick or some sort of check real quick to see what Achira might want to do here?
Well, I'll say that you are within a formation. So, as far as your morale goes, as much as it might have been damaged by the situation and what you saw and what you heard of your brother, you can make a composure check to not react. If you succeed, your face will not reveal what you know to be true. If you fail, I believe it's only fitting that Faith sees something in your eyes.
I think that's super fair. And then plus we're in a formation, so don't I get 2?
You've critically succeeded. Your face is unreadable. The choice is yours.
Achira will look Faith right in the eyes. Unfortunately, there are different degrees of becoming rabid in this world. It doesn't necessarily mean Romero, but Omar was that. And that's why I believe that he had been broken by the Marauders in some way. I didn't see a bite on him, but I understand why Rowan shot him. And I am so sorry that that happened to him and that that happened to you. I've also lost a brother. There's circumstances that I couldn't control, that I didn't understand. And I might have taken revenge on someone who didn't deserve it. And that's something that I only just learned now.
The tapes, the recordings these people have.
Exactly. I'm not going to stop you on whatever it is that you are trying to find with Omar, with his death. But this world poisons each of us, whether with a Romero bite or with torture from factions or with people that betray, the ones that you reach your hands out to, the ones that you grew up with. I don't have an answer for you.
But you know that Rowan shot him.
Rowan shot him, and from what I know, it was just something had broken within him. If she hadn't, I would have. If I couldn't, you might have had to. So I'm glad that Rowan did. And I'm sorry to say that to you.
I feel like I didn't know what to expect when I asked you. Kind of went through the being real angry thing already for a while and just kind of ran out of steam after a bit of doing that. Almost killed Lampwick over it.
I think
could
we've
tell
all
someone was
almost
lying.
killed Lampwick.
But I could tell that you all were lying about something. And it matters that he's gone. And it matters that I don't feel like I have any family left. But I'm trying to learn. That loss shouldn't be all that matters to us. So I think we're gonna have to continue to be a little broken. And we're gonna have to live to see if we're allowed to figure out what to do from here. But if we die, we don't have to make any decisions.
Well, if you become a Romero, I guess it's just, do you go with the herd or do you go apart?
Oh no, please shoot me if I go first. I don't. All right, let's push forward. We can. I gotta talk to Rowan one day about this.
I will say that it was just. Sorry to say that again. No one would ever want to hear that, but she saved me from having to do it. She saved you from having to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Everybody from the Citadel lied to me from day one, so.
I need you both to roll 2 depletion die. Faith, your light goes out. Your lighter's out of fuel. Achira, yours flickers slightly. And in the darkness that now engulfs Faith, you see Polly Pocket moving off to one side, towards the rubble deeper down the tunnel that you discovered, off the obvious pathway in Section D. You hear rustle of rubble as she pushes forward, sort of leaving the two of you to your moment, sensing that this is between the two of you and not meant for her. And that rustle of rock and debris stops. You don't hear her moving anymore. You don't see her.
Polly?
What are your intentions?
Polly. I'm gonna call out to her.
I try to get against a wall to wait and listen.
Make a spot listen check. Do you call out again? Your voice has echoed through this tunnel.
Well, I'm standing there holding a light, so I don't think my voice is going to make a big difference in this matter. I guess I... Do I let... I guess I stop with the lighter. So it's just complete darkness.
You close the lighter, it snaps shut. You plunge into total darkness.
I'll
Faith.
also duck down. Like,
Very
not
well.
where I'm standing. Like, duck down against the wall.
Faith, you have 4 degrees of failure on your spot listen. You start carefully listening as you move against the wall, but your foot, unless you wish to do something, dislodges rock. Do you have any competency to spend?
Only have 2 left.
Are we in a location hazard? Since we've changed locations from the main arena before and have closed a gate behind us?
Not yet. But it's close.
I'll use 1 to make this not catastrophic. So it's only 3.
The rock does tumble, but it doesn't pull you with it. Part of the floor collapses. A hole that you almost fell through. But the rumble and rustle is loud, and it shakes through this tunnel. You still have your group competency. I believe there are only a few left, though.
Just 1.
You feel the hole. You can't see it. You just know that your foot is hanging over an emptiness. You don't know how far it goes down or what's below you. You feel air rushing up, but you hear nothing of Polly or anything ahead of you. What do the 2 of you want to do?
I'm gonna toss a stone down the hole to see how long it takes before it hits the bottom.
You can't see the hole. You just heard the rumble. The rocks move. The falling. It does sound like maybe there was something that collapsed, but you're not sure that there's a hole.
I'll kind of crouch down to sort of like my feet and my hands so that I can feel forward before I step forward. So I can go around where the hole is and sort of feel my way so I don't fall forward.
You start moving forward. You feel the leather makeshift boot of Paul's foot. The rough stitching, the cloth, the tassels and tethers, the strange bits of discarded fabric that had made up her colorful outfit. You can't see it, but you feel it, and there's no mistaking it. It's her leg. She's on the ground. What do you do?
I kind of reach up to pinch her to see if she's awake. Hey. I'm gonna back away from her a little bit, and I'm gonna try to make my way toward where I last saw Achira instead, and just try to remember where I am in relation to Polly.
You start moving backwards. You're in the dark. Your sense of direction is good, though. You're pushing back closer and closer to where Achira was. Achira, you haven't moved, you've just gotten low.
Yes.
Eventually, your boot hits Achira. At least you think it's Achira.
I just whisper as softly as I can. Something's holding Polly.
something.
I don't know. I
Lead
think
me.
we gotta. All right. You're ready to fight. I take my knife out and I kind of hold on to Chira's wrist and pull her along with me to where Polly was.
Achira also takes out her knife.
And the two of you crawl through the darkness back to where she was.
The plan is to, once I can feel her boot, to sort of crouch down with the knife out, to leap, to kind of jump forward to where her like head would be, because I assume someone's holding her up there. And grab
before that happens, Achira's gonna flash back on the lighter so that Faith can see exactly what's going on.
The two of you crawl forward in the darkness. It's pitch black, like being in the middle of a deep, dark cave under the earth. Concrete and broken rubble, vines and roots are underneath your feet. Your hands are bleeding and scratched up. Minorly so, but still, it doesn't make this any easier as the gravel and debris irritates those tiny scratches. You push forward, combat knife in hand. And Achira, you ready your lighter. You feel her boot. Achira sparks the lighter. Click. 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 The third time, the flame sparks and burns and illuminates what's in front of you. Faith, I need you to roll for your slash if you are indeed cutting at whatever you see without thinking. And I need you both to also make a composure check. With 2 black dice of difficulty. The only reason I'm not adding 3 is because of your formation.
I have to re-roll that because I didn't put difficulty on it. God damn it, that was a good roll.
Man, that's such a good roll, though. Can you just roll the 2 black dice of difficulty separately?
I'll roll them for you.
All right.
Just to allow you a benefit.
What else did you have to roll? Depletion or?
It's now 3 degrees of success instead of 4. And then I need you to roll your composure as I describe to you what you see.
With difficulty also.
2 black dice of difficulty.
Got our composure.
Faith, your years of combat training have steeled you against many things. With 2 degrees of success, you are safe. Achira, you have rolled 5 degrees of failure. You do have the group competency if you wish to use it. To lessen this catastrophic failure.
Don't I get 2 things of composure for our formation, which would make that a 3?
It does make it a 3. If you wish to use anything else, you may. Otherwise, it will lessen your failure out of the realm of catastrophic. You're right.
Yeah, I'll just take our formation competency and save that 1 for a rainy day, which probably will be happening in the next turn.
Well, you are now in a location hazard. Polly is there. The flame shows first her legs and then her body, and the faded neon color of her clothing looks pale and desaturated in this light, but it's there. You see her face, her eyes are wide, smeared dirt and makeshift homemade makeup smudged as tears run down her face. There is a long, slender hand with pale, translucent skin, pulsing black veins wrapped around her mouth and the lower part of her jaw. They terminate in these horrid hooked claws. And you see very close to her face a distorted, horrid visage. Perhaps once an elderly woman, wrinkly and drooping. Her skin hangs off of the bones of her face, and her large black eyes are distorted and strange. And she is leaning her head against Polly, and with this other hooked, clawed hand, petting her softly on the head and staring right at you, Achira. She is, as far as you can tell, entirely unclothed, but it doesn't matter. Her body, from the shoulders down, is barely human. And she raises up slowly, and you see that she is much taller than any normal human person should be. In fact, you see her spine is the twisted, contorted form of 3 other dead bodies, melted together. The legs all splayed backwards, still human, but like a spider's. And she pulls herself up in your flame light and looks down at you, holding Polly Pocket, unharmed, terrified, and firmly in her grasp. What are your intentions?
I use my 3 degrees of successful slashing damage to slash at her. I guess whatever I can reach right now.
Slash forward, because it is fair. You did slash and succeed. You slashed forward. And as she moves up, your blade strikes across her face. Do you want to dodge the black bile that shoots forth?
Yes, please.
Make a dodge check, as there's a spray of black gore and viscera that comes forth from the face.
Achira's gonna take the time to pull her gun and shoot it.
Try. Faith, you roll out of the way after your slash. The figure reaches her head back and shrieks. The sound reverberates from the walls, and it's barely human. You pull your gun at Shara.
What's the modifier for this gun?
You can have a 2 times modifier despite the fact that most of these are older. This one seems to have been maintained well enough that you may be able to use it to your advantage, more so than the old rusted one that Faith fired earlier.
Okay. I will put competency into that. Let's see here.
So that makes it...
I don't have...
Remember the group competency.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any kind of headshot that comes with a pistol. I'm used to using my long gun, which I know exactly
Yes.
how many I need for a headshot with that one, and I'm guessing pistols...
You would need, I believe, you need at least 3. And even then, I think it's closer to 5 for the 38.
Okay.
But what the 38 does do is it is resistant to failure. You typically are not going to misfire 38.
Okay.
There's an enormous cranking noise, metal shaking as that scream issues forth, and you hear somewhere else throughout this complex, it sounds like rumbling as metal and chain echoes throughout this place.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said I need 3 or 4 to be able to headshot this thing.
If you're trying to headshot, I'm going to call that 4. You're building yourself currently out from a 1 degree of failure on this specific shot. Do you wish to try to do something with it, or do you want to wait for your next shot?
Will you take survival points instead of competency points for this?
How many survival points do you have?
I don't want to tell you.
It's unfortunate.
Because I've been saving them up for many, many games.
I understand.
Right now I have...
If you're saving those resources, they may come in handy in the future, should you survive this encounter.
All right. I have 5 competency points left. I have a degree of failure. I will use all 5 to headshot this thing.
All right. Ajira, you back up, holding the flame. Despite everything you hold true to yourself, you have fear in your heart. You see this thing, those 3 degrees of composure work their way through you. You throw your gun up and you fire. You shoot it directly in the head, and its head explodes outward from the back. It drops her, and she falls, landing onto the rocks. She rolls. You're not sure if she's going to make it, as this thing wildly starts striking the cavern around it. Its pale limbs strike out at the walls. It's screaming as black bile, like a fountain, is pouring from the hole that you've just made. We've resolved all of your other actions. We need to have you roll new intentions, and I definitely need 1 blue speed die from each of you if you're doing anything that is considered a quick action.
I'll have, since I kind of rolled out of the way earlier, grab the gun, and I have 2 bullets now that Jerry gave me earlier, and I'm gonna I'm just gonna shoot to aim at this thing to finally kill it.
Shoot again.
And my modifier is just
Go
1,
ahead.
right, for that gun?
For that gun, it's a 1 modifier. It has no additional
Got it.
things. Despite your cool head and your careful aim, it's just so dark. The thing is flailing everywhere, and you fire and you hit it, but it's just in its shoulder and it doesn't seem to even react to it. The black bile is spewing forth from this enormous head wound, and it's not actively striking at anyone, but wildly flailing. You have 3 on your speed die. Achira, what is your intention here?
I'm going to grab Polly, grab Faith, and get the hell out of Dodge. Like, get into that small opening to the locker room. This thing is big. Maybe we can close the door behind it, but I'm just like, it's time to go.
You can do 2 of those 3 things. The choice is yours as to which 2 you do. You can't grab Faith, grab Polly, and get out of Dodge.
I'll trust that Faith sees what we're doing and that the light is moving away. I'm going to grab Polly and head for the door.
Make a lift pull. Give me 1 single speed die.
We have 4 communal points now. Thank you, chat.
Thank you, chat.
I see you, chat.
I'm gonna have to put something in lift pull sometime, because keep on having to use that one, and it's not a good one for me. Not without equipment.
Two degrees of failure. Do you want to let that ride? Do you want to leave Polly behind and get through the door?
I don't have any competency points that I personally have. We have 4 community ones left. I would need to... We have... Oh, thank you, chat. We have 6 left. It would take 3 for a single degree of success for me to get Polly out of there, so...
A single degree is all you would need.
I will use 3, then. And never lift pull ever again.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? 3 communal points remain as Achira desperately grabs down. Polly is battered. You don't know her current state of being, but she doesn't look great. There's blood and bruising, but you pick her up, and the 2 of you push through the door, and it grinds open, tossing you forward. Faith, you step through as well. Your lighter blew out. It's dark again. You close the door, and you hear a thud on the other side. Thud, thud, thud. And then it stops. And it gets very quiet. Lampwick, did you make a pistol roll for me?
I did not. I asked if I could shoot, but instead I want to command them to stand down.
A command is what brought them to you. Now you wish to use command to stop them.
So maybe let me make sure I'm understanding what's happening. So this individual started lumbering towards me. Is that right?
Walking towards you, as you had asked.
And started
But there was something strange about the walk. And then you realized through the lights of the arena as they were cast down on the figure that there was something wrong that you hadn't noticed before. Something about them that wasn't quite right.
Something about their
skin. You thought you had seen burns on them, but you realize now that those were wrinkles because the skin doesn't fit right. They seem to be wearing the skin of a person.
So I pull out my gun and I train it on this individual. That seems strange to me. And I'm going to command them to stand down and to drop on their knees.
you shoot one of faithful, brother? Would you be so quick to condemn one like yourself?
At that, I'm going to put my gun away and I'm going to approach carefully. Let me see your face.
Yes, I will show you my true face. My sin was pride. Your sin. Your sin will show itself as well. And she reaches up and pulls her skin off, revealing to you a horribly disfigured face. Flesh interwoven into bone, human, but so raw and wet, agitated, and you see them there, crawling, the maggots. This is what I am. Now,
No.
brother, show me your face.
This is not all that you are, sister. I mistook you for something that would threaten us. Others have worn faces that didn't belong to them, and I thought you had found your way here. That one of them had. Forgive me. I offer my hand.
The loose skin of her hand grasps yours. It is cold. He grips it tightly. And she
I grip it
pulls you,
back.
the skin still hanging down around her neck. She pulls you closer to her, inches away from your face. What is your sin? Show me your face.
You are not the one to call that of me, sister, and you know that. You know who is the one to reveal that for us. You will be there when that time comes if your curiosity is driven to that. And I'm going to go and I'm going to get the kind of reach for the flesh. I'm going to start to put it back gently. But you, my sister, you are so much more than this.
And soon you will be too.
Then come with me. Help me find my way. And I hold her hand as I move down towards where I last saw Faith in a chair.
She and the dead priest walk alongside you. You travel down. There are flickering lanterns that have been lit. It seems that most of the lights that have been resurrected for this event are held in the arena itself, the stadium. The flames dance across the concrete walls. Much of the debris has been cleared out. There are dead bodies, ancient, desiccated corpses scattered here. You see ancient emergency service signs, cots, crates from the United States government stacked here. All of them empty, picked apart, used to try to barricade certain areas, but that has been moved now. Most of it is covered in dust and debris. This is a rotten place. You move further down.
I'm going to turn to this new companion. What is your name, sister?
The name I had long ago was Emily. Emily Hook.
Sister Emily.
Call me Sister Hook.
Sister Hook. Will you help me see the light? Will you help me learn? What are we observing here in this trial? How will we know when the sinners have proven themselves worthy to walk towards the light?
They will unburden themselves and each other. They will strip their own flesh clean to the bone and prove themselves worthy. We will see if any of them truly are worth his glory.
Is there anyone that you wished you could have saved and brought towards the light, if you had the chance to?
I sacrificed much. I cared for so little. All that I had to offer was my beauty.
Come with me, sister. I believe I'm meant to show you that there's more to you than what you've been reduced to.
I believe that I am here to show you that your tongue speaks more truth than even you know.
Then we shall teach each other something.
Praise him, yes.
I walk forward, and I'm still holding her hand. Last I saw them, I think it was at the gate Would I have been able to determine that they made it inside? And is there a way for me to have made my way inside as well?
There are markings, and you know that they're in the D gate. And you can follow all of the different markings that are cleared, areas that have been cleaned of grime. The shepherds are using these tunnels intentionally. You don't know what they've set up. You weren't here when they did it, but this is all very elaborate. It's like a fortress. This place is enormous and sprawling. Part of a concrete jungle, an enormous circular arena planted on 3 sides by rivers. There's no easy escape. But you start moving towards D if that's what you wish to do.
Mm-hmm. I do. I'm looking around at the. Are there any other survivors? Any other rag and bone people, or wherever they're from, around me?
As you get further down, things start happening. You hear screams echoing, gunshots, metal grates rumbling. If you wish to go down other corridors, you may. But if you wish to go down towards where Achira and the others were, you have to move down directly through D.
I head there. I'm assuming there are dead Romeros around that have been killed by the survivors.
These passageways that you're currently in don't seem to be part of the trial. They seem to be leading to the trial. The dead bodies that you see around you are the dead from fall. Individuals that probably came here to receive medical attention or some sort of security and then didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not so uncommon for the cities, especially.
Right.
The dead are piled high everywhere you go. You come to a series of gates, and there is a shepherd, a man with caramel-colored skin and dark, piercing eyes, smiling pleasantly at you, and Sister Hook as the two of you approach.
Greetings, brother.
Hello, brother.
Will you allow us to pass?
Sister, do you wish to enter the trial?
I wish to observe. I'm here to learn. I'm being guided. It seems to be important for me to see with my own eyes some of what is transpiring here.
There are ways for you to do that, brother, without entering into the trial itself. It is dangerous. Are you certain?
Can you enlighten me on these ways you speak of?
There are areas above, portals through which you will see some of this trial. If you do not wish to make the climb, I can have someone lead you there and report back if you would like.
Is that where the others are observing from?
Some.
When will the trial be finished?
There's a gunshot somewhere in the distance and another scream. I don't believe it'll be very long at all.
Are we waiting for there to be just one left?
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
Do you wish to pass and enter, or will you go elsewhere?
I will go elsewhere. I must speak to Brother Hayworth. I think you have shown me enough of what I need to see. And I'll turn to Sister Hook. Thank you for your enlightenment, sister. I'll leave you here in the good hands of this brother. I hope to meet again very soon, because there's much more that needs to pass between us. And with that, I start to rush back.
She
towards...
grabs your arm before you leave,
I stop.
pulling you to a stop. And steps away from the other brother. I know why they want her. I have seen much.
Tell me, please.
I will when you show me your sin.
Right there, right in front of her, I take off all of my clothes.
She stares at you, not breaking eye contact.
I stay right there.
She reaches her hand out and touches your chest and moves down to your stomach and holds it there. And there's something that roils inside of you, Outbreak. I need you to make a composure check with 3 dice of difficulty.
All right. I will use
failure.
I will use.
We have
I'll use
community
the
points.
I'll use the community points that we have. We have 3 left. I will use those and another 2 of my own to make that into 3 successes.
Lampwick, you feel that roiling, twisting, a natural breaking inside of your body. And something works its way up your throat. And you feel as if you're going to vomit. And it keeps pushing forward. And 3 writhing black tentacles push themselves out of your mouth and flail out in front of your own face. And your viral goes up by a point. Sister Hook is smiling. Achira, and faith. In the darkness, the thudding has stopped. Everything is quiet. You hear Polly Pocket silently crying. Just a whimper. What do you do?
I click the light back on. Unless
After-
you want to try the light switch. There was electricity, on the field. Maybe there's electricity here.
You flick the lighter. I need you to roll 3 depletion die.
Well, it was
It
3
lights.
die.
It lights. And you see across from you a cage filled with old bats. And a crate marked United States government. It's open, and there's something metal that catches your eye. And then everything goes dark again. And that's where we're going to end our session tonight.